Oh, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Lauren Page. Welcome, welcome. This is really fun because some of you that are here, we have been together like for decades, it seems like. And then others of you are brand new to my world. So, the whole spectrum. This is a super, super special training. I only do it twice a year. Who am I if you are new to my world? I am a certified life coach. I guess is the generic umbrella term. I'll go a little bit more into what that means in just a second. But this is really my way. This is like the fun space. You know, I see clients one-on-one throughout the year. I do different group coaching containers. And this is like my heart to pour out to you. Just because this is a free offering does not mean that it is anything less than what I would be offering in a paid setting. And if anything, I'm like, oh, we get to just hang out together here. So please treat this seriously because, you know, with anything, the other kind of, I guess, intention I have around this is that as I tell you about my background, I have been through the whole gambit of personal growth, personal development, all the different modalities. I've been in seasons where I have literally like not been able to pay for electricity, and a book or a free training like this would have meant the world to me. And then I've been in other seasons where I've paid like multiple thousands of dollars for really high ticket coaching that has like escalated things on a whole nother level, and everything in between. So hey Kristen, hey Debbie, what I had mentioned, if you're on live, say hi live. I know we have a ton of people that want to watch the recording. I mean, I have to say guilty. I am one of the people that like typically watches the recordings. So there is no shame in that. If you are here live or if you are watching the recording, you are already light years ahead of people who sign up for things and don't do it, quite frankly. So that's the scoop. What are we doing in this training? I said I offered it twice a year. This is the latter half of the year where the vibe is going to be a little bit different than the beginning of the year. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Kira. Oh, this is so fun. I do love when people are on live because I'm like, okay, I'm not here by myself talking to my computer. So the vibe of this one, over the next 3 days, I have fortunately gotten to study with, I like to think, the industry titans. I've studied with Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Brooke Castillo through the life coach school and everything in between. And then on the other side of the spectrum, that's like your like, you know, like life coach, very like masculine driven, if you will, if we're going to go that route. And then on the more like woo spiritual side, I've gotten to study under really incredible spiritual leaders, religious icons, the whole thing, and everything in between Eastern and Western, yin and yang, feminine and masculine. And my hope is that I can somehow, over the next 3 days, condense all of that down for you to walk away with really tangible things that make you want to actually take action, right? Like, how many times do we consume trainings or books or podcasts? A couple things happen. We either walk away feeling so freaking inspired and we're like, yes, I could flip a car, but we don't really like put much into action. We just like have that rah-rah effect for the next day or two. Then on the other side of things, like you've probably like learned some pretty legitimate, tangible things in life that you're like, this would be a super smart, savvy thing for me to implement. But quite frankly, you're like not really inspired to do it. So my hope and my prayer for us, and like the woo and me like prayed for each one of you before we got on, and just hoped that I could be some sort of vessel that when we bring those two worlds together, you walk away from these 3 days feeling a little bit jazzed up with momentum. I'm a numerology 5 for anybody who's interested in that, which means I thrive off of change. And then also that you like know what you're doing. You're not just like, okay, that was a fun pep rally. So this time of year, this is my like signature method, if you will. It's called the Life Makeover Method. And the reason it's called that is I think that in this realm, the personal growth world, or anybody who's experienced trauma, whether it's big trauma, little trauma, whether you've got to change a job, whether you just like heard of a loved one's cancer diagnosis, all of that stuff is heavy. And I would like to add just a little bit of levity to the world. Like, we know we've got to do the work. We know we've got to dig in and like do the scary thing where we like talk about our finances or like have that conversation with a loved one. And so when I thought of Life Makeover Method, the visual that came to mind, if you just want to kind of know where my brain goes, was long before the Barbie movie, long before the Barbie movie, if you're watching this in August of 2023, our generation watched the Clueless movie. And I might have worn it out. I might have watched it over and over again. And my favorite scene is when, this is someone who grew up on food stamps, so I didn't like grow up with fancy clothes. But my favorite scene was when Cher comes in front of her closet and she has like this little software system that spits out her outfit for the day. And then voila, she is just instantly made over into this amazing outfit of the day. And it's just fun and it's light and there's some like vibrancy to this, like, you know, it's like this whole, we're not going to make it out alive in this life thing. So we might as well have fun. We might as well do the work. And to be in community while we're doing it is everything. So that's the scoop. Day one, I'll give you a little lay of the land. Day one is all about clarity. Day two is all about how to get like the compelling vision forward of what it is you actually want to do. And then day three is what's going to be different if you were in the group from the beginning of the year. So when I offered this group in January, it really has, or the beginning of the year, it has all of that like new beginning vibes to it. We do a lot of really deep identity work that's going to set you up for in this case, it set us up for 2023, set you up for the year. This time of year, there's an interesting vibe that goes on, I think. I don't know if anybody can relate. This is totally my own personal experience. I'll share a little bit about my story in just a second. That if you have like kind of made it to this point, and maybe it's because whether you have children or not, we're at the end of the summer. Like we've all played for the summer, and we want that fresh spark going into fall. We want to really kind of sprint this time of the year. This is how I feel. I want to work my little booty off for September, October, November, and then I kind of want to get into that dreamy winter mode where we're getting into the holidays. So whatever the thing is that I'm working on in my life, whether it's career stuff, health goals, relationship stuff, like all of those things don't matter. It's just like, this is the time of year where it's fun to just dig in, have a sprint, and then feel really good about going into winter, where we like hibernate and we have warm soups with our loved ones and all the things. So this vibe is going to be a little bit sassier than in January. January, we have all year to like flesh out our goals, flesh out who we're going to be in the world. This group is like, let's freaking go, sister friends. We're in this. So the first couple days, if you were with me in January, are going to seem pretty similar. They're going to seem, I would encourage you to look at it with fresh eyes, but also to encourage you to look at it as the biggest review you can give yourself. The exercises that I am going to lead us through today and tomorrow, I do quarterly. I do them like quarterly because, you know, how often do we like make the vision board and it gets stored away in our closet? Or maybe you do write out your like goals every day and you're like meticulous about them, but then all of a sudden, like, I don't know if this happened to you guys, but I've been like reading my banner goals. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Okay, I'm just checking out the comments so far. I'm feeling pressure to not hibernate this year. Yes, pressure in the business to succeed. Okay, so Kira, I'm so glad you said this. My goal, and this is kind of like a sneak peek into day three, because day three, we're going to talk about how you can condense a whole year's worth of, I either did or didn't perform up until this point, based on my own standards, into the next 12 weeks. So that's my goal for day three. So you're in the right spot. Okay, day one, let's dig in. You know what's funny is I was like, I don't need like liquids when I teach. I'm not like somebody who gets parched, and now I'm like, all right. So day one, if we're going back to the lightness, I like to say this is our Cosmo quiz day. And I'll give you a little bit of background on my story if you are brand new to my world. And I said I'm a general life coach. What that means is in my industry, there's a lot of pressure to niche down. You know, there's the gal that's like the coach only for love. There's the gal that's the coach for weight loss. There's the gal that is the coach on how to be a solo entrepreneur creating content online. And the reason I have been hesitant to niche down is because I have experienced change and transformation in all of the areas we're going to talk about today. So I think what my superpower is, what I can offer you guys, is that my niche, my superpower, is I am the master of change. I run into it head on. I do it quickly. I do it effectively. I do it gracefully and beautifully. And I also do it messy and erratic and all of the things that progress us forward in this human experience that we're having. And along the way, I have fortunately had a lot of guides and teachers and resources that have been given to me that I'm just here to share my toolbox with you. I hope that you can walk away and be like, oh, that's a tool I haven't used yet, or this is going to be good for this season of life. And that's the gist of my major milestones. If we want to do like the heavy hitters, the major milestones are: I'm the oldest of 6. I was a theater kid growing up. I, having tried to make it in LA, in Hollywood, where body image stuff was a total, probably still is nuts. I then swung the pendulum to the other side of the spectrum, went to school for nutrition, dietetics, got certified in Pilates. At 25 years old, talk about a leap of faith. And just here's one tip if you take it for anything this week. Say yes to things that you just don't know any better. At 25 years old, I opened up a Pilates and bar wellness studio in Charleston, South Carolina, because I just didn't know that was like something that people don't do. So I did that. I met the quote unquote soulmate. I don't know if it's supposed to be the soulmate or the twin flame or whatever they call it, the most like romantically destructive person in your life. I met that person. We got married. We had the like storybook romance. It made sense for his business to move to San Diego, California. At 29 years old, I sold my business for over 6 figures. I don't know if you heard this, but I grew up on food stamps. I had no money consciousness to speak of. At 29 years old, I have sold a business. I moved to California. At this point, you're watching and you're either like, this girl's super annoying, or you're like kind of inspired-ish. You're like, all right, great for her. And then it all came crumbling down, because that's what happens. That's what happens. We arrived to San Diego. The mental health issues that my then husband had were exacerbated with addiction and trying to run his own business, which he ultimately did to the ground. Those 6 figures that I thought I was like Oprah rich, gonna last for the remainder of my life, was gone in 6 months, because addiction is expensive. We were trying to start a family, because that's something you should do with an addict who has money issues and health issues. We were experiencing every infertility roadblock in the book. Praise all things holy at this point. So 2 years of infertility, crashing finances, a life partner who's spending his day in bed, spending his nights drinking and consuming substances that were very not much incongruent to the life that we were trying to build together. It all kind of came crashing to a head, I suppose you could say, about a year into us living there. I had been invited to a direct sales health and fitness business that I had turned down for a long time because I didn't really know much about online sales, didn't think I'd be good at it, and ultimately, out of sheer survival, said yes. Sheer survival. And the thing that I learned in that chapter is that you look for the helpers. I don't know if it was, I think it was Mr. Rogers. Look for the helpers. Liz Gilbert also says, you know, as a parent, your job is to be the flight attendant. Just pass out snacks. In this case, I joined a business that I knew was rooted in growth, development, wellness, all the things that I had been preaching for years. And from that space, I looked to the people who were succeeding out of integrity, out of heart, and were doing things in the world that I wanted to do. And I just said, look, success leaves clues. I'm going to do the things you're doing and hope for the best. Over those 5 years, I built a top elite business in that field, built that one to 6 figures. And then, you know, I just said I'm a master of change. So a couple of years ago, when everybody was getting baking bread during the pandemic or homeschooling their children, I became a life coach. I got certified in life coaching, unbeknownst to me, not really for the purpose of this, but for the purpose of having more tools and resources for my then team, for my clients. It's helpful to say that unfortunately, you know, the destructive marriage did not work out. That was the first time I had went to a life coach, was when I was like, wow, I have clearly burnt my whole life down to the ground. I need a team. I need a life coach. I need a therapist. I need a church group. I need whoever is there. And I built up that was really the depth of the soul work that I was being called to do. Fast forward to where we are present day. I am with an incredible life partner who, you can't just be like, he's the best. He's the best. He's the best of the best of the best. We have a set of 1.5-year-old twin babies that were conceived on the first shot. So goes to show, the stars all need to align, and these miracle babies are here. And this is the work that we, and I say we, get to do in the world, because I truly think that you and I are co-conspiring as we speak. I think there's a lot of energetics that are exchanged, and you and I are in this together. So those are the mile markers. Now, this year in particular, and this will get us into today and the tools and resources, anytime I've wanted to do something, it all starts with clarity, right? You can't just be like, oh, I hope one day I have the house that I want. You've got to really visualize and come up with what that house is. When I started my health and fitness business online here in San Diego, we had spent all of the money, right? And unbeknownst to me, we had about $80,000 in credit card debt, which is a lot, as it turns out. Completely blindsided. Needless to say, finances were an issue. So when I joined this health and fitness company, and the gals were like, hey girl, go for your dreams, write out your goals. And I was like, pay electricity this month, afford groceries this week. It certainly was not things like, oh, I hope I have a beach McMansion. I wasn't even capable of going there with my brain. I had no idea how to get there. And so the purpose is, the more that you can kind of leapfrog from one spot to the next and be exposed to people that will tell you about other things out there besides paying your bills, the quicker you are to get there. And I have been in different seasons. So this group will serve you if you are in a couple of seasons. If you are in the season where you set out with 2023, you were like, I am on it. I have written the lists. I have done the vision board. I know where I'm heading. We have a lot of wellness entrepreneurs on, which is really fun. It's obviously my love language. And I get where you're at in your professional journey, because I've been there. We have a lot of people here who are here for career goals. And so you know, right? You're like, I want to be here by this time at the end of the year. This group is good for you if you're like, oh shoot, I got to redial it in on all those things I said I was going to do. This group is also good if you're like, I think my life's all right. I don't really know what I need to work on. The purpose is, clarity is power. I can tell you, a year ago, I had hit, would it be in August? Yeah, it was probably about a year ago. A year ago, if you'll notice, any of the businesses that had massive growth during the COVID era, the pandemic era, a lot of them had a lot of contraction when the world reopened. So as someone who had built their primary income off of a business that offered home fitness and nutrition solutions, and an income opportunity that came with that, when the world reopened and people got their jobs back, or they sorted out their finances, and they were tired of working out over Zoom and they wanted to go back to SoulCycle or whatever it is, I had a huge financial hit. Last year was a big kind of awakening, and I had baby twins, and it was a whole thing. So I think what had happened was that in that season, where do I want to go with this? In that financial season, my come to Jesus moment was, I was really struggling with my business. My finances were tanking, and it was the perfect storm because I had now done this business for 5 years. The same thing, day in, day out, day in, day out. So I didn't have that new scrappy energy to recommit. I had to pivot. And that's where this whole season came out of. So what the different assessment tools are, I'm just going to pull up my screen here so I make sure that I'm telling you the right things. I'm going to post in this caption. Yeah, I'm just trying to the easiest place to navigate on Facebook. I'll edit this post after I hop off with the link. I didn't want to post it until I went live so you know what you were dealing with. These are different tools that I have adapted from Darren Hardy's Living Your Best Year Ever, some of Tony Robbins stuff, and then to be honest, I don't know where the contrast and clarity exercise came from. I've seen it a million different ways in different setups. So today is the Cosmo Quiz Day. You're going to take an assessment and you're going to fill out your little charts. And that's all you really need to do. I don't need you to have like a big, I mean, if you want to like kind of have some reflections and think about it, that's beautiful. It's going to lead us into what we're doing tomorrow. But I also wanted each day's thing to really only take like 10 to 20 minutes, I would say, depending on how much and how deep you want to go with it. So with this link, you're going to have 4 resources. Number 1 is, step 1 is uncover. So this is typically, these are the kind of exercises that people do for New Year's and all that stuff. I want you to think about your year to date, because like we talked about when we get to day 3, we're going to talk about how we sprint to the end of the year and feel really good going into the holidays. So when you're thinking of these answers, do it through the lens of how have the last 8 months been. Okay, 5 great. Okay, so number 1 is uncover. It's going to talk about things like what are your greatest happenings year to date, what are your accomplishments, what are things you need to do, start doing, stop doing, that kind of stuff. Step 2 is your life assessment. So this, you're just going to literally fill in the bubbles. You're going to circle scale of 1 to 5. It's going to ask you a bunch of questions. And what's beautiful is you might be here for one particular thing, like your career or your marriage or your finances. But the nice thing about this assessment is that it will give you the whole bird's eye picture of where everything is shaking out to be right now. And then you can do with that information what you will, which we'll go into tomorrow and Wednesday. There's a little life wheel that you can fill out so you can kind of see how balanced or unbalanced your wheel is. And then finally, step 4, I put this in here for the people that are like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm trying to like accomplish the end of the year. I don't even think I have energy for that. We have so many mamas in this group, or newly postpartum and have toddlers or have teenagers who have full-time jobs, and you're like, mama's tired. I'm tired. So contrast and clarity is to help you understand what you want, because you might not know what you want, but I bet you know what you do not want. I bet you have a list of grievances that you would love to just like magic wand yourself over. And that's how, once you work your way through that worksheet, it will be pretty self-explanatory as you can flip it. Okay, so those are the 4 tools. I'm going to leave you with that and just say that I want you to know that I am in this with you guys. What's cool is that with anything in life, you get to learn it in real time. I have all the tools, and the great thing is I will be leading us, including myself, through the accountability. So as I mentioned, I set out in 2023 with big, lofty goals. I have this brand new fancy life and business coaching business, and I feel so on fire for the people that I'm helping, and it's getting great traction, which is so cool and so fun. And then life is all about polarity, or life is about contrast. So the first 6 months of this year were incredible. I'm tracking all my goals. I am like, wow, I think I've cracked the code. I think I'm now like immune to all these hardships I've experienced throughout the years. And then something happens within all of us. We have what's called the thermostat effect. So this is also why this group could be helpful for you over the next few months. You might have been crushing it the past, however many months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. And what happened was my brain, the whole month of July, utter freak out. I mean, it didn't like come across as panic and freak out, but it did the thing where it was like, oh, you are being successful and there's no way you can sustain that. That's the mean girl, right? The mean girl comes in and she's like, you can't sustain this. It's not possible. So the tools that I'm offering you, I did the whole month of August. I can safe to say we're back on track. The mind, body, spirit is all lined up again. And this is how you can break through your own personal thermostat, meaning, that whenever like we get to a certain point on the thermostat, like if the room is set for 70 degrees, and it kicks up to 73 and you're like, yes, I'm soaring high. As soon as you do that, the air is going to kick back on and it's going to take us back down to 70. So that's what I mean by that internal thermostat effect. Our goal by the end of this week and then from then on out is that you have a plan to finish the year not being held by your own glass ceilings, not being left in this kind of like apathetic sludge. That's like my like bad home base place to go is just apathy. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. That if you have any kind of panic about, oh my gosh, I feel so much pressure about my business by the end of the year. Like, my goal is that you walk away feeling so empowered, so like you've got the marching orders for yourself of what you want to do and the support that you need going forward. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day. Fill out those worksheets. I also do prizes because that's fun. If you are, even if you're on the email list, just reply back your responses via email. I check them. This is my main priority the next 3 days is to man my email and everything like that. So I like to give away some like Starbucks gift cards, all that good stuff for participation because I recognize your time and know it's valuable. So I'll put a post with the resources and then you're going to comment with what you're working on and instructions from there. All right. Have a beautiful rest of your day.